Alright, listen up, cabbies. I got your assignments. Riga, 643. Wheeler, 148. Nardo, 804. And all of you. You need to join host HP and Father Malone as they examine one of the greatest sitcoms in television history, Taxi, in Night Mr. Walters, a Taxi podcast. Banter, zero, like your boxing record.
Night, Mr. Walters.
We're in Wayne Media.
Welcome back to Midnight Viewing, the Horror Anthology Podcast. I'm Father Malone, and joining me here are the CultureCast Chris Dashew.
I don't know about y'all, but I am a fan of a huge all-beef American hot dog.
You're going to get one. And joining us also is the Projection Booth's Mike White.
Horace, is that you?
Horace X. Tonight, we're taking a look at 2 episodes from Season 1, the final 2 episodes of Season 1. Those are Grandma's Last Wish and The False Prophet. Grandma's Last Wish, Season 1, Episode number 22. This originally aired on June the 16th. That was yesterday. 1985. Written by Julie Selbo, directed by Warner Shook, starring Jane Connell. Her first credit was a Stanley, a sitcom from 1956 that starred Buddy Hackett and Carol Burnett. Only lasted 1 season. Anyway, it also stars Kate McGregor Stewart, Paul Avery, Kelly Wolfe, and Gregory Itzin. This one's about a family that grants their grandmother one wish before she's shipped off to the retirement home. What'd you think of this one, Mike?
Oh, boy.
I love a wind-up.
You guys know how much I love vague powers, vague wishes, vague things. I love this episode because it's just so fucking vague. Yeah, I have guesses as to what happened, but yeah, it so reminded me of Word Processor of the Gods, where it is just some of the worst people that have ever walked the planet. And then Grandma, though I would have to say Grandma's not a peach either. So I kind of don't like anybody in this episode, maybe with the exception of the guy that runs the old folks home, just because he's basically a used car salesman. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan. How about you, Chris?
I'm a fan of old person makeup in this episode. Boy, they really put the practical effect team to the task, didn't they? By asking, how can you make 3 adult humans look like disgusting candle people? We figured it out.
Success!
Yeah, success was met. Success was had. Question mark? You mentioned to Mike that all these people are terrible. The grandma is the worst one.
She's pretty awful. Yeah.
She's written the way that no real human being is, which is completely inept even to just get up and move around the house. Like in a way that, again, it's just unrealistic. And so to pair that with some really terrible human beings, it's, man, the quicker we can get past this episode, the better. Because everybody's terrible. The grandma, she's also equally terrible. And then the twist at the end with the old people makeup is just, wow. Look, I think the premise is fine. I think the premise is interesting. The grandma wishing that she was going to have friends at the old folks home. Here, let me just burden my family by transforming them into old people. Was that her wish specifically?
She wanted them to experience what she was experiencing because none of them either had time for her or they were treating her poorly.
I got that, but so what?
Yeah, so what? Exactly. Right. Because they were terrible anyway.
Like, Grandma, don't you get it? These people are fucking pieces of shit. I don't get it. Like, why do you care? You're ultimately getting away from them. Like, well, the thing good.
I kept thinking, was she getting younger while they were getting older? Like I was like, oh, that'd be kind of a nice twist because towards the end, she seems to be able to hear again. I don't know if she looks any younger, but I was kind of hoping that they would give her more of a spin, that she's younger and they're suddenly getting old because the wife is just, what? Huh? What? I'm just like, oh my God, this is it. There are things called hearing aids that can really help out people. They're like glasses for the eyes, but they're glasses for the ears.
Shocking. They have this technology in 1985?
1985, they might have had that technology. I think that they did.
Well, they had prototypes anyway.
Yeah. God. Yeah, it was a big tin horn that stuck out of your ear.
You saw that movie too? God, I heard Ted Levine uses one of those.
Bloodbath McGrath. Now, here's my first note that I wrote. Who am I rooting for here? It's like a monkey cage. The mom just cackling and the kids doing gymnastics and grandma's delirious. Okay, so they sent this up. So we're going to feel bad for old people who are neglected and mistreated while they're just trying to function. That's the idea. And so I had plenty of sympathy for grandma on that level. And then she wallops her son for picking up a fucking donut and yells at him to eat some bran, this grown man whose house she's living in. And I thought,
she says, Mom, she's supposed to be on his back. That's what she said, Father Malone. Didn't you read the dialogue on screen? It's such patronizing shit. I was like, what the fuck is this? Or this Henny Youngman skit come to life? What the fuck?
Here's the thing. Like, I was trying to muster sympathy for her when I thought she was just delirious, because that's how she's presented for the majority of the episode. Like, she seems completely out of it. She's like walking around with paper towels in her hand and just pulling it off the roll, going across the house. She's tucking her granddaughter's sweatshirt into her sweatpants for some reason. She's just a menace. And all I kept thinking while watching it was like, they need to put this woman in a home. And then it comes up and it's like, oh God, these horrible people are just going to put her in a home to get rid of her. I'm like, she needs help. They can't provide it.
I like the term rump side. Just use the word rump side a lot, because that's a word that never gets old. Rump side.
They've got that whole thing where she's like, did you get the olives? Did you get the olives? And then later on, she's just scarfing olives down like nobody's business. I'm like, all right, what's changed? Has something changed here? Yeah.
The olives were magic all along. Don't you realize? Once she got her hands on them finally, once the family stopped giving them to her, she got her wish.
I like the idea of a child just doing cartwheels around the house as a mode of traversal as well. That's how you know she's into gymnastics, is that she cartwheels everywhere.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she's the sign. It's 1985. Leopard skirt, salmon shirt, studded neck collar, aqua button down, tied at the corners in the front. Not to mention mom's blue suit with cravat tie. It is 85, everyone.
And that teased hair on top, too. Ooh, you just got to love it.
Listen, this was a terrible episode, but I want to give props to the props department who went the extra mile. And the little girl, the teenager girl, when she's studying at the kitchen table, her name has been written on the spine of the book, like in the pages, Greta. It says it on the side and on the top, which is what everyone does when they're in high school. So good on you, props. Thinking that up. That's all I've got for positives on this one.
Fucking faint praise over here, fun.
Like Gregory Itzin, who played the sort of used car salesman, retirement home guy, totally agree with you, Mike. He was the only one operating on some level that was not completely fucking annoying, and I wanted to go with him. But spend the rest of the time. And it's got to be some weird magic fucking home that they're sending it to.
Does it?
I think so.
That's what I couldn't figure out, because we never get to see it. What is the gag? Is the gag that like it's like a home like this where people Shanghai their families into coming with them, or what's the deal? We never find out. The image at the end of the three old people at the table and her staring at them is just, it's the moment you realize that she's the real monster of the piece. But again, like, the episode doesn't spend long enough really getting to that point. It just shows it to you at the end and goes, get it? It's like, get what? Like, what happened? Because they get older throughout the episode, and then they're just old.
Her wish is complete. They're a bunch of old fucks now, and now they're not going to understand each other, and they're all going to be mad at each other, and
But are they old permanently? Like, yes, what's going on?
Yes, they're going to be dead soon, and she's going to be living a high life at the retirement home. So, this way, these terrible people have been at least punished. And Grandma's going to get up to shit at that retirement home. She'll be punished, too.
To be fair, I would want to leave a house where people said the word rump side as many times as these weirdos do. Jesus.
I mentioned the director Warner Shook. He's a big player in the George Romero family. He was in Knight Riders. He was the sort of announcer at the thing. He played oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. But in Father's Day, he's the brother. Are we conserving energy? And when I first moved to Los Angeles, the very first theatrical performance of anything I went to see was at the Mark Taper Forum. It was called The Kentucky Cycle, which ended up winning the Pulitzer. And it was fucking awesome. And it was directed by Warner Shook. So inauspicious beginning here at Tales from the Dark Side, but he went on to greater and greater things. So he's still out there working today, mostly theatrically.
He's a real humdinger, that one.
Ha ha ha.
Jesus Christ. This reminded me a lot of the episode where the grandpa just won't die.
Oh,
it's like, why does this show like old people? Yeah, Eddie Bracken. Yeah, it's like, what is this show's deal with like, old people and like, sticking around? What are they trying to say? Ultimately?
I'll tell you what it is. See, both Tales from the Dark Side and Twilight Zone 85 are written primarily by boomers, right? Now, on Twilight Zone 85, they turned all of their fantastical notions into, why am I so unsatisfied? We were supposed to have happiness. Whereas on Tales from the Dark Side, they're like, this fucking older generation, won't they fuck off and die already? Kind of like Tales from the Dark Side's attitude better.
Yeah. At least it seems a little bit more interesting in terms of where it's coming from versus
and mean-spirited. Sometimes the mean-spiritedness of this entire series is a benefit.
Oh yeah,
particularly when they're dealing with unscrupulous or unappetizing humans.
But what about ditzy morons?
Was that a segue?
Yeah, because
it is, and I'm riding on in on it.
The False Prophet. This is season 1, episode number 23, written by Julie Selbo. She wrote the last episode. She also went on to write the Young Indiana Jones TV movie Mystery of the Blues when Harrison Ford came back for the wraparound segment. Remember that, right? Jeffrey Wright. I fucking love that one. Anyway, the story is by Larry Fulton, and it was directed by Gerald Kotz. This one stars Ronnie Blakely, Justin Diaz. He's the Reverend character in here. 500 episodes of Guiding Light. Before that, 255 episodes of Ryan's Hope, that guy. Also stars Anne Hillary and Bill Fiore as Horace X. Why is this episode only 22 minutes long? Because the man wouldn't give him a full half hour. Horace X. Okay, this is a variation on the old Nick of Time Twilight Zone episode.
There is.
Oh, yeah.
There is. Yeah.
About a woman whose personal life is ruled by astrology, who meets her destiny in an Oklahoma rest stop. At least I assume it's Oklahoma. I'm sure it wasn't Texas.
Sapulpa, Oklahoma, sir. Sapulpa, Oklahoma. She even says where she is. Sapulpa, Oklahoma, baby.
Sounds a little like
Sapulpa is available. Yes.
He always wins.
What do you think of this one, Mike?
No, I don't.
Who cares? Go for it.
Yeah. Again, not a big fan. I think a little Ronnie Blakely goes a long way with that voice and just the acting. I don't know if she's that bad of an actress or if this was just a very poorly written part. My God, is she annoying. And
Jesus, Mike.
Wanda Sue, why would you trust your restaurant to this lady who just comes in out of nowhere and just is a total maniac who I guess Wanda Sue is probably pretty out there herself if she buys this Horace X machine, that huge fucking monstrosity. Yeah, I just kept thinking of Nick of Time and just wishing that I was watching that instead, because I'm like, that makes a lot more sense. And then when the priest just shows up out of nowhere, yeah. What do you think, Chris?
Boy, what I do like about this episode is that the show seems like it was taking jabs at people that exist now, because I don't know how many people y'all know like this, but I do know some people that buy into the astrology. And look, I'm not saying I do or don't, but I have met people like her. And it's like, does she deserve what happens to her at the end of this episode? I don't think so, because what happens to her at the end of this episode is pretty bad, but she's written like a complete fucking moron. And I don't know. I mean, I'm with you, Mike. Like it's pretty grating, but she does love an all beef American hot dog, and I can't fault her for that. She's a fucking idiot in this episode. I think she plays it really perfectly. Look, she's in Nightmare on Elm Street. And that's the only other thing I've ever seen her in, and she's not playing that kind of character there that she is here. I don't know. I'm with you. I feel like this was almost a blackout sketch that went on a little too long. And the preacher or pastor showing up, I was like, whoa, what episode all of a sudden? Because now we're just off the rails completely. So, Father Malone, what did you think of the final episode of the first season of Tales from the Dark Side?
I was a little let down.
Yeah.
I think, to me, the episode actually picked up when Reverend Heat Jones of the Church of the Moment to Moment showed up. I thought it got a bit lively when he showed up. And to look at him, this sort of Anthony Geary looking, one of these tight curled blonde god types, like, I instantly do not like him. But I found this guy really charming. And you know what? Like, I thought it became interesting when he showed up, except her reactions to him. There was never any doubt that she didn't trust him, didn't want anything to do with him, just wanted to hang out with the machine. And ultimately, the episode should have been about this battle between the fucking astrology machine and the Church of the Moment to Moment, these sort of dueling ideologies about wanting to see the future or living so in the moment. I thought all that was interesting. But Ronnie Blakely is so fucking weird. Breathy and kind of sensual, but at the same time ditzy, but weirdly soulful. Or maybe she's just drunk. That was the other thing I kept thinking. Maybe she's drunk on set all day. Or not to malign her or anything, but her behavior is unusual. Anyway.
I like when she's talking to the woman who owns the diner while the woman is unboxing Horace X, and she's staring off into the distance while eating the hot dog, she's talking to her, but not looking at her. And it's bizarre, because I gotta wonder, they were just like, Ronnie, would you please look at the actors when you talk to her? Nah, I don't want to. I don't feel like it, because it's so fucking weird. It's such a choice it's like a choice you'd make like when you're recounting a story that had a traumatic experience on you. Instead, she's just staring off into the distance eating a hot dog. What the fuck?
I noticed that lack of eye contact too, and I was just like, wait, where is her eye line? What is she looking at? What's going on here?
It's like blind.
She never really looked at Heat Jones either. She never really makes eye contact with him. The only thing look, this might be a choice of hers, that her character is so out there that she doesn't want human contact. If that was the choice she made, bravo. That was a good idea.
I don't know, though.
Yeah, I don't know
yes,
either, it's
maybe.
so unusual. And that's the way she kind of performs in everything. This is a different character than Nightmare on Elm Street, but she's playing it basically the same.
Is she like a known eccentric personality?
I have only known her to be, but then I have very limited context. She's not in a ton of stuff.
That's what I'm asking, because like,
I think she's more of a singer than an actress.
Yeah,
she's weird. She was, and she was nominated for an
yeah.
Oscar for Nashville too, of all things. Yeah.
So she's got chops, man. But I think she, like you said, I think she is more of a musician, singer than she is an actress. But
that explains.
She was married to Wim Wenders for 2 years.
Wow.
Back in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, from 79 to 81, Mrs. Wim Wenders.
Huh.
That's pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
I think this particular sort of character, because I know a few of them too, Chris, that I would think that she would own her own tarot deck and not do this arcane dropping a penny onto a playing card. That was new to me. I haven't seen that technique before. Is that something you all have encountered?
No, and then the whole tails down, tails up thing. I'm just like, oh my gosh, you're very involved with this. Yeah, I thought for sure when she said something like consulting the cards, I was like, oh, she's got a tarot deck. Okay, just like that lady from Mama's Family a few episodes ago.
But Horace X, that's what we're here for. Let's talk about Horace X, y'all.
Yeah, let's. I thought it was oddly erotic that she keeps touching his screen and he keeps encouraging her to do it.
Oddly erotic? I thought that was the point. He's like coming in his electronic pants. Oh. Also, on top of everything else, Horace X does look, just going to point this out here. Horace X looks like a penis.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right? It looks like a cock. It looks like a sheathed penis vertically. So yeah, and then her touching. What is the point of this episode if not him trying to incorporate her body into his programming? I guess.
It's
help me.
He has a mom, like the earlier version, who's been communicating with him. It's very unusual.
It's wild. I did not expect the machine to be able to talk sentiently. I just thought that it was going to give her pat answers at first, and then no.
Like Zoltar?
Yeah, but then it has its own language, and yeah, it talks about his mother and all that. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's fucking weird. Like, it's as if they wanted to have William Shatner with Nick of Time converse with the machine.
Right.
And it's like, that's not the point of this. Like, he doesn't have to converse directly for what's going on to matter. We can understand that him getting that card is enough, and we can read into it. We don't have to have it go, please tell me your name. Oh,
every single time, and then be
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I remember. It's like,
what the fuck?
yeah. The other thing that was odd too is the whole philosophy of that pastor when he comes in, where he's just like, we are just about the now, the whole moment to moment thing. She's like, what about, tomorrow? What about the future? No, just now. And I'm like, that is the weirdest philosophy I've ever heard. So
When will then be
now? Just now.
Soon.
I found it to be very Buddhist, actually. Living in the moment. I was taken by Pastor Reverend Heat Jones. I want to be part of that movement.
Are you trying
When
to
he
stop
said
yourself
his
from saying
name-
the Reverend Horton Heat? Because
That's totally every
I was
single
like,
time they said
yeah.
his name, I was like, Horton Heat. Okay,
Horton
cool. Yeah.
Heat. Heat Jones. Heat
It's
Jones
a
sounds like,
psychobilly freak out.
yeah. Heat Jones sounds like a wrestler from the 90s in WCW. Heat Jones. Yeah, but I feel like he's wasted in this episode because the Ronnie Blakely and the Machine could have it could have just been the two of them, like him convincing her without the pastor being there.
Could have been something.
It's the real
Ultimately,
bad way to end the first season of this show. That's the reality here.
The crazy part is that I'm going to recommend this one. I like this one.
Wow.
For all the batshit craziness of it. And that's what I'm taking away from a lot of these now. Like, the smoking one was just so fucking weird that I dug how weird it was, and it carried me. This one, I was struggling until Heat Jones showed up. Once he was there, then it became an interesting little drama for the last 10 minutes or so. But I wish he had shown up when she showed up, and there hadn't been the diner owner. And I think that I agree with you, Michael. What is she doing? Don't worry about locking up. Just hang out in here. You're fine. But it's also, I think, a diner within a depot. So I don't even know why she was offering to lock it up. That's not sure she owns it. Isn't it the bus? Gus, the bus driver?
So did the bus blow up or not?
No, the bus left.
But I thought it blew up because
she thought it blew up, and then he explained about the heat lightning. That when he was wherever he goes, heat lightning arrives. By the way, heat lightning is apparently not a thing.
That's weird. I thought it was a thing.
Let's look it up right now, shall we? Because somebody told me it wasn't, and I don't believe them. I want to believe that there is heat lightning because I live in the middle of a desert in a valley, and right around September of every year, the edges of the valley are absolutely ringed in lightning on some nights. And it's not like it's raining here.
According to the National Weather Service, the term heat lightning is commonly used to describe lightning from a distant thunderstorm just too far away to see the actual cloud-to-ground flash or hear the accompanying thunder.
There it is.
They got them out there in Sepulpa, Oklahoma.
Sebulba!
Sepulpa. That would be a funnier name.
I wish I could remember any of Sebulba's lines. I just remember what's his name.
Sepulpa always wins. So that's Watto who says that.
I just remember Watto's lines. Yeah.
This only speaks Huttese.
I never bet against Jedi. Yeah.
What does Sebulba say?
Kudu.
Oh yeah, that's
exactly.
right. Yeah.
Anakin says you dopey slame pot slow-mo or something. Come on, we all know
You
that.
slow-mo humping slow-mo babe.
Listen here, slow-mo.
Yeah, we might as well let's just go with some of the racial epithets.
Yeah.
That's where they were headed.
Yeah, pretty much. Hey.
I'm worried about my money.
Yeah, boy. Why does that guy have that weird nose and those wings? And why does he sound this way, George? No reason. No specific reason, anyways.
And it's definitely not a bunch of Chinamen up in the spaceship. That's
Oh, yes.
And I quote, Your Honor, he did say Chinaman. Chinaman or Orientals better, George? I don't know. Neither?
I didn't cry when some Chinaman took my legs in Korea.
That's not the preferred term, dude.
Neither of those terms are at this point. God. Overall, I think a good season of this show, though. I think, right? Would we agree? Good season of the show overall?
There have been some clunkers, but I've never felt insulted by them.
Yeah, I think I can go there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think overall this was a decent season. And usually this is where all other series fall down once we make the leap out of here, or definitely by 3. So I'm curious now because I'm a little less familiar with season 2 than I am season 1.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm excited to see where the show goes if it continues to diversify the themes and tones, or if it because Twilight Zone 85 was kind of always doing something different up until the end, and this show kind of seems the same way, even if they don't necessarily all work. I'm glad that not every episode is just some sort of supernatural thing. Sometimes it is just rogue technology, which it's not supernatural, best I could tell. There have been a fair number of technological things this season. Where wasn't there one where the kid uploads his consciousness to the Mookie and Pookie, baby.
That's right. And Harry Anderson and his telephone answering machine taking over his life and his screenwriting duties.
And the telephone killing that woman. Yeah. But a lot of like fear of technology in this show, which it's the 80s, so makes sense.
Yeah. Word processor of the god right there.
Yeah, there you go. Makes sense then, makes sense now.
Yeah. Onward to season 2, I guess.
Yeah, on the next episode of Midnight Viewing, we'll be taking a look at the first 2 episodes of Season 2. Those are The Impressionist with Chuck McCann. I don't know this one. I'm very excited. And the other episode is Life Bomb. Midnight Viewing, the horror anthology podcast, is a proud member of Weirding Way Media Group, and our theme song was composed by HP. Until next time, what are you working on? Where can people find it? Chris Stashu.
WeirdingWayMedia.com is where you can find everything but Rankin on Bond, which can be found over at my Patreon or Mike's respective Patreon, patreon.com/culturecast or patreon.com/projectionbooth. That's where you can find my stuff.
How about you, Mike?
You can find me hanging out with Katana. She's got my back. That's all.
How about you, Father? The souls of her victims trapped within her blade?
What some people say, yes.
Okay, cool. As for me, just like you guys, weirdingwaymedia.com over there. I got a bunch of shows. Thank you all for joining us here at Midnight Viewing. Until next time, try to enjoy the daylight. Midnight Viewing, the horror anthology podcast, is a proud member of Weirding Way Media. Our theme song was composed by HP with an assist from Donald Rubenstein and Erica Lindsay. If you want to hear these episodes early and commercial-free, become a patron over at patreon.com/FatherMalone. Not only are the episodes up early, but we have extended interviews and bonus podcasts where we spotlight the best episodes of horror anthologies from every series. But if you just like the show and want to help, please share it with your friends and give us a rating on your favorite podcatcher. Together we'll keep journeying through the places that are just as real, but not as brightly lit.